Good afternoon. Welcome to the Maryland Public Service Commission and our public hearing associated with cases number 9056 and 9064. The purpose of our hearing today is to receive a briefing from the Commission's Standard Offer of Service bid monitor / consultant and the Commission technical staff regarding the January 22nd, 2018 SOS auction for a portion of the residential customer load for the Potomac Edison Company and Type 2 SOS procurement results for Potomac Edison, BGE, Pepco, and Delmarva. I'll now turn the proceedings over to Staff Counsel, Mr. Lloyd Spivak, for introduction of witnesses and testimony.
Thank you, Your Honors. Good afternoon. Lloyd Spivak for the Commission staff. The Commission staff has two witnesses to present this afternoon. Mr. James Letzelter from Liberty Consulting Group, the Commission's consultant on the SOS bidding, and Mr. Philip Vanderhayden, of the Commission's Director of the Commission's Electricity Division. And with that, we will start with Mr. Letzelter, please.
I do. James C. Letzelter.
And spell your last name?
Letzelter.
And if you could just sit down, because for some reason I'm not thinking about that. How many business address?
The address is 1451, it's 1451, Quentin Road, Suite 400, Lebanon, Pennsylvania, 17042.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Letzelter.
Good afternoon.
Do you have in front of you a document captioned in Commission case numbers 9056 and 9064 entitled Direct Testimony of James Letzelter, the Liberty Consulting Group, on behalf of the staff of the Public Service Commission of Maryland, and dated with today's date?
Yes, I do.
Does the document consist of 10 pages of question and answer testimony with a number of tables interspersed throughout?
Yes, it does.
Did you prepare this document, or was it prepared under your direct supervision?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any additions, deletions, or other corrections you would like to make at this time?
No.
If the questions were asked of you on the stand as they are asked in this document, would your answers be the same?
Yes, I would.
And do you adopt this document as part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
I do.
Your Honor, staff requests that Mr. Letzelter's testimony be marked as Staff Exhibit 1, please.
Staff Exhibit 1 is marked and without objection entered into the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Letzelter, can you please give us a brief summarization of the contents of your testimony?
Certainly. I'm an executive consultant with Liberty Consulting, and I serve as the technical monitor overseeing the procurement for standard offer service for the 4 investor-owned electric utilities in Maryland. I'm also responsible for calculating and enforcing the price anomaly threshold. The most important part of this testimony is that I recommend that the Commission accept the results from the most recent procurement held this past Monday, January 22nd, 2018. And there are 4 primary reasons for this recommendation. 1, the bid prices were consistent with market conditions. 2, the averages of the winning bid prices for each block type were below their respective price anomaly thresholds where applicable. 3, the process was performed fairly and was consistent with the RFP. 4, there was sufficient competition from suppliers. There were 8 bidders in this tranche, the same as in Tranche 1, indicating healthy competition. There were 4 separate block winners in this tranche as compared to 5 last January. That indicates supplier diversity, albeit just slightly less than last year. Overall, there was a 4.6 to 1 ratio of megawatts bid to megawatts needed, which is in line with last year's Tranche 2 auction. Based on these findings, I recommend that the Commission accept the results of the Tranche 2 procurement. This concludes the summary of my testimony.
And the witness is available for cross-examination.
Very good. Let me see if my colleagues on the bench have any questions. Judge? Okay, hearing none. Thank you for your testimony, and you can be released from the stand.
Thank you. Good day.
Thank you, Your Honor. The commission staff calls Philip E. Vanderhayden to the stand, please.
Raise your right hand. Do solemnly affirm under the penalty of perjury that statements made in this matter today are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name.
My name is Philip Vanderhayden,
Spell your last name.
Vanderheyden.
Give me your business address.
6 St. Paul Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21202.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Vanderhayden.
Good afternoon.
Do you have in front of you a document also captioned in case numbers 9056 and 9064 entitled The Commission Staff's Report on the Standard Offer Service Bidding Process and Results for 2018-2019 and dated with today's date?
I do.
Does this document consist of 11 pages of report both in text and tabular format?
It does.
Did you prepare this document or was it prepared under your direct supervision?
I did.
Do you have any additions, deletions, or other corrections you would like to make at this time?
I do not.
Do you adopt this document as part of your sworn testimony in this proceeding?
I do.
Your Honor, staff requests that the Commission staff report be marked as Staff Exhibit 2, please.
Staff Exhibit 2 is marked and without objection is entered into the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Vanderhayden, can you please give us a brief summary of the contents of the staff report?
Yes, I can. On page 2 is the summary of the sole residential bid for this tranche from Potomac Edison. On the following pages, we'll have the Type 2 bids from the other 4 companies. On page 2, Potomac Edison's annual bill increase comparing the year that will begin in June of 2018, so this upcoming June, with the 12-month period that immediately preceded it, is shown. The average percent increase in the total annual bill, considering one full year's worth of electricity, is about 1.4% as a decrease, which is roughly $22 of a total increase in the bill. The SOS power component of that is decreasing about 2.5%. With this bid, Potomac Edison has completed all of the bids that they'll need to serve energy to the residential class for the 12-month period beginning in June of 2018. So they're complete. There were no Type 1 bids, so we go to page 4 for the summary of the Type 2 bids. For Type 2, we are going to report a 3-month period beginning in March of this year with the 3-month period beginning in March of 2017, so we do not do a full year's worth of comparison. We compare a 3-month period in 2018 with the same 3-month period in 2017. We also provide a comparison of the supply-only rate, that as it changes from the winter to the spring. So on the summary page on 4, the seasonal supply rate is decreasing between 0 and minus 24%, and each of the utilities is listed there, beginning with Potomac Edison. This is comparing the total 3-month bill. Potomac Edison's about 6 to 8%. BG&E's decreasing between 0 and minus 12%. Delmarva has an increase from 7 to 18%, and Pepco is changing from positive 1 and to minus 3%. And I'll go over each class as I go to the individual pages. Potomac Edison's Type 2 bill impacts are shown on page 7. And here the center column highlighted shows the percent change in the 3-month period comparing March, April, and May of 2017 to the same 3 months this year. So we have about a 6 to 8% increase in the total cost. The first column shows the 3-month in September, or in 2017. The second column shows 3 months in 2017. So we're comparing those two numbers, and it just calculates the percent increase. The supply rate change that applies to each of those classes is shown on this column that's second from the far right. and about a 9% decrease from the winter to the spring supply rate only. And then the far right column will show the percentage of customers that still remain on standard offer service for Potomac Edison's Type 2 classes. Moving on to Baltimore Gas and Electric on page 8, the 3-month average total supply is decreasing at just a little bit over a negative 0.6% to about a minus 12%, depending on the customer class. The supply rate change is about 0% increase, just fractional for the GL class. To the G and GS class are showing almost a 23 or 24% decrease in the supply. So that is showing the winter rates compared with the spring rates. And again, the number of customers that remain on SOS are shown in the far right column as well. Delmarva Power and Light is shown on page 9. The average 3-month change between 2017 to 2018 is from between 7 to a little over 18% in the total increase in the bill. The supply rate change is just over 0% negative to almost 16% negative for those classes. And again, the percentage of customers on SOS is shown on the far right. The last company is on page 10, Potomac Electric Power Company. Pepco's customers are splitting the difference there. The MGT2LV class is having a slight increase in the 3-month bill comparison, where the MGT23A is a 3% decrease. So there's a little bit of a difference there, but one's actually going up and the other's going down, so they're both not moving in the same direction. The supply rate change is just over 0%, or it's about a minus 8%. And again, that's the rate that's in effect in the winter compared to the rate that will go into effect in the spring. And we can see that the majority of customers, more than 50%, have switched to retail choice suppliers. So you have the far right column showing the percentage that remain on standard offer service. And that completes my summary.
Thank you, Mr. Vanderhooven. The witness is available for cross-examination.
I'll ask for questions from the bench.
I have some nitpicky clarifications. I'm sorry. I have some nitpicky clarifications.
There it is. This is on column headers. Could you look at page 2 of your testimony?
Yes, that I did not. I see there the column second from the left still has June 16 through May 17. That should be June of 18 through May of 19.
Okay. And then if you look at pages 7 through 10, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th column where it talks about supply rate change, and it says 2017-18 winter to spring. Should that be 2018?
It should be spring 2018.
Okay, thank you. Those were my only questions.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just had a couple of questions, Mr. Vanderhooven. I'm looking at page 9 of your testimony. I'm looking at the change in the average 3-month bill for the DPL, Delmarva Power and Light customers. Is there something that you know of that you would attribute this to, the increase during that period of time for those customers that are still on SOS?
The increase that you're seeing there in the total bill from 2017 to 2018 includes all billing components, so it's reflecting the change in both distribution, transmission, and generation. Mm-hmm. So there's going to be a relative increase between the classes depending on the level of increase that they received. If there's been a rate case between the reporting period this year and the reporting period in the previous year, there's also going to be an increase if there's a change in the transmission rate, as well as the actual bid generation rate that goes into effect.
Okay, so I think it's your second little I on the top. You note that some of these customers have switched to competitive supplier. They're able to avoid some portion of this increase if they've done so?
If a customer is on a competitive retail supply, they would not be impacted by the SOS or the transmission components, but they would be paying for transmission within their own retail supply rate, very likely.
Right.
And it would depend on, they'd be seeing an increase if they were also on a quarterly, type of billing or a more frequent billing. So it's this is only addressing quarterly billing for type 2, and some customers may be on a longer contract or shorter contract, or they may be on a contract that perhaps follows the market price. So to the extent that there's an increase here that reflects something that is not within the distribution, they would be able to avoid it, but everyone pays distribution.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Without any further questions, I have no questions, Mr. Vanderheyden, so thank you for your testimony. And
Thank you.
exit the stand. I would now like to see if anybody from the audience would like to make any comments or give any testimony. Okay, very good. Hearing none, I think both witnesses did a fine job. Appreciate the testimony very much. The commission accepts the bid results presentation from the January 22nd, 2018 auction, and the commission will issue an order shortly accepting the results of the January 22nd, 2018 auction.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. We're adjourned. Have a nice day.